Good afternoon and good evening. Since I don't know what time zone you are, I wanted to cover everybody. My name is Amos Knoll, and welcome to my world. This is our first podcast show, and what I wanted to do is I wanted to make it special. I invited a special woman, but first, her name is DeWitt. But first, I want to tell her who I am and what I do. I'm an author. My background is, when I go to book signing, many times people ask me what kind of an accent I have. So I'm going to get all the information up front. I was born in Israel in 1943. When I was 5 years old, I moved to Austria. That's my German accent. When I was 10 years old, I came to the good old USA, Brooklyn, New York. So I have a Hebrew, German, Brooklyn Jewish accent. Now you know my life story. As far as my experience in life, when I went to Queens College, I worked at a lifeguard in Coney Island, I worked on Wall Street, I was in insurance business, I was in international business, I traveled all around the world. I made more money than people make in many lifetimes, and as smart as I was, I lost it all and had to start over again. That's what life is about, never giving up. Even today with our economy, I'm getting my butt kicked by the banks, but you know something? It takes more than banks to beat me. And one thing I love about Kitty, she literally has a LED, a diploma, which means life experience diploma. You can't pay money for that. That comes with life, that comes with experience. And I want to talk about Kitty. Kitty is a woman who's going to be 90 years old in June. She doesn't act like a 90-year-old woman. I was told many times personally, I'll be 79 next month, this month. I was told personally, Amos, don't act like a kid. You should always act what you feel like. Kitty doesn't sound like her chronological age. I was told I don't. I'm being silly many times. But that's how you enjoy life. And people ask me, Amos, how can you put in all those hours? My problem is, for me to relax, I love to sit down and write books. Books like Max and the Red-Headed Dragon has a message in it. Don't judge people by the color, lifestyle, or the way they look. Judge people only what's in their heart and mind. Or books like Mama, Why Am I Black? Has a simple message in it. Always be proud of who you are and what you are. Books like The Little Snow Boy message. Miracles do happen. Yes, they happen in 2021, 22, and they will always happen. Don't always question it. Don't always try to analyze it. Accept it for what it is. Just accept if something good happens. You can call it divine intervention, miracle, accident, but sometimes learn to accept. All my books have messages. Now, Kitty, I have a few questions for you.
Okay.
I hate to admit it, I need glasses. That comes with age, I guess.
It's okay. I got them too.
Okay, that makes me feel better right now.
Right.
By the way, part of my experience, and the reason I'm mentioning it, because we're going to have a show every week, and I'm going to try to invite guests. I don't need a PhD. I don't need a doctor. I don't need a professor. I want people who have experienced everyday life, because some of this most, call it idiots, people I met, they have PhDs. Doesn't make them smart. A PhD does not give you common sense. The person works very hard for it and they deserve it. I'm not questioning that. But one thing you cannot get from college education, and that's called common sense. Unfortunately, some of those so-called smart people don't have it. That's why I want to invite every week people can talk from experience. because that is a 4-year degree, 8-year degree. You can't get it. That's why I wanted to. I'm a first choice. I wanted Kitty to be. But Kitty, I want to ask you a question. How many children do you have?
8. I had 8.
Wow.
1 has passed.
I'm sorry to hear that.
26.
And how many? Oh, how old is your oldest son or daughter?
The oldest is 70. The youngest is 53.
And how many grandchildren do you have?
18 biological grandchildren, 3 that became part of our life.
Mm-hmm.
So I sometimes consider them children that I got to know.
That's beautiful. Now here's the hard one. How many great-grandchildren do you have?
Just had the 33rd on December 31st, just before New Year's Day.
That's beautiful.
Number 3, right.
Now I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to tell you why I'm asking the question. I have 2 daughters, Tammy and Debbie. They have children, and I have grandchildren. Many times even home with 2 children. I said, Debbie, no, I mean, Tammy, no, Debbie. My grandchildren, Max, Chloe, Justin. So with few kids, I get mixed up. Can you remember all those names?
I get mixed up from time to time, yes, when you're in a conversation. But if I have to sit and tell people what their names are, yes, I can remember every one of them.
Wow. I'm not going to have you. I'm not going to have you go down the list. Tell me,
because I would take a little bit of our time.
That's beautiful. Tell me something about yourself. Do you have any education, college, or what is your education and your experience in life?
Well, I can honestly say, yes, I did graduate from high school, and I actually started to go back to college, or not started. I went to college for a short amount of time, never matriculated into the system, but I was usually always the oldest one in the class, which that didn't bother me. But my going back to college encouraged my son-in-law to go back to college. But I just like learning. I just like learning.
And what kind of, I'm talking about your life now, what kind of experience do you have working outside? Besides, I'm not going to say a mother, grandmother, that's a very hard job. But talk about outside work.
Well, raising the children took up naturally most of my beginning part of my married life. But as the youngest one was able to either travel with me, I used to do Stanley parties in the home because I like people. So that was a challenge for me to demonstrate items that people might want. I don't know if anybody have ever heard of Tupperware, but I used to do Tupperware house to house and take the youngest one with me in a car seat, and the people didn't mind. That was one of the things I did. But then I got bored as the kids got older, and I wanted something to do. And I told my husband I'd like to go out and get a job. So I started working home care. I had lost my dad. He was part of my household before he passed, and nursing him and taking care of him allowed me to pick a job that I would be able to be helpful in the home system. So I started taking care of people in home. And then my husband got a little nervous because they switched me to what you call in social services, child protective services. And I encountered a lot of people out there while I was in their homes that my husband thought was a little bit challenging and nerve-wracking for him, because it was a little bit of a dangerous job when you're working in people's homes and you didn't have access back then to cell phones.
Absolutely.
So I switched to the mental health area. So I was working in a Middletown Psychiatric Center. And when I transferred into the mentally retarded, that was a whole new challenge for me. So between the mentally retarded and the mentally ill, I used to kid people and say, I'm raising 8 children and have a connection with all these great grandkids and grandchildren. I'm ready for this field. So I enjoyed working with people and helping them.
That's beautiful. Tell me, I know that a few weeks ago we were going to have the podcast and you caught the COVID-19. Tell me about it. I mean, over here, you look at you few weeks later and you're like, nothing happened. Did you ever get flu? Did you ever get shots or anything?
I've never taken the shot, with the advice from some of my children who love to be in the research area, and they kind of give me a lot of information. And so I never even took the flu shot for quite a few years. But yes, I did come down February 1st and 2nd, wound up in the hospital. My daughter switched her flight to coming down so she could be here when I got discharged from the hospital on the 2nd of February. And for 2 solid weeks, I was completely exhausted, drained, and she took care of me and brought me back to where I am today. So this is one of the best things that anybody can say when you have a connected family and your children support you, especially now that I don't have a husband any longer. They're always there for me. And I was very grateful, and I pulled out of it. And with the help of the Lord, He's got me back on the road to being involved.
You know, this particular show is called Life Starts After 90. Many times you have people, I know people too. I used to have a partner, his name was Marty. He was 50 years old. He was 50 years old. In your case, you're going to be 90 in June. But he was 50, I guess you're going to be 90 years young. He was literally 50 years old. All he would do is smoke cigarettes constantly, always had yellow nicotine around his fingers, yellow nicotine. I thought it looked disgusting. He went home, watched television, and he told me one day, hey, I'm too old. And I think what's beautiful about you, you are very encouraging. I want to use this particular podcast to get a lot of elderly people off their butts to show them, hey, don't feel sorry for yourself. Do you have pain? Yeah. Listen, I'm going to be 79 next week. Can I still jog 26 miles? I used to. Every night I used to jog 7, 8 miles. No, I can't. After running a mile, I'm out of air. I used to swim butterfly. I was on a swimming team in New York. And for over a mile. I'm lucky if I can do butterfly for 1 or 2 laps today. We're getting older, but what's most important for all of us, what's in here, it's your attitude that's so important. And somebody like you should be able to encourage a lot of people. Here's another example. You got in a book right now. Tell us about your book.
Well, the book started.
What's the name?
What's
the name of the book?
You know,
The
Dad's
Pink
Pig. Dad's Pink Pig.
Right.
And the book started because my daughter knitted a pink pig for Dad. That's kind of hard to say, pink pig. But she knitted a pink pig for Dad. She was en route when Dad was home after being discharged from the hospital. And my 3 daughters did not make it here before Dad passed. And I felt a need, not only for her, but for people to understand when your loved ones pass, it doesn't have to be the end of their life. So I created a book to keep Dad's memory alive, and my daughter who never gave Dad the pink pig. And I found out by meeting Amos that him as a publisher, he was my notary to begin with, and then became interested possibly of helping me put this book on the market. And I found out that reading or telling this story that I was writing to my great grandkids, the age bracket between 4 and 10 is where I'm focusing on. And all of them children seemed to make a connection to what I was writing. And one incident was I met a great grandchild who was 6 years old after Dad passed, my husband passed, and he had been jumping on a trampoline in the backyard after Dad's funeral mass, and he got injured. Now, this child did not know me because he was 6 years old and he lived in Virginia, and I didn't have the pleasure of meeting him in his younger life. And after he got injured and he started to cry, I asked him to come over and I tell him a story. So just from the top of my head, I started talking about this pink pig, and I got his attention. He stopped crying, and I said, if I could get a little guy's attention who was in the middle of crying and he doesn't even know great grandma, maybe I could do something about helping other children at that same age level. So then I took my 3 children who are part of the birth of being quads, and they are really not what you call fully developed because of being born prematurely at 24 weeks. And I sat them in a room, closed the door so their mom and dad would not come in, and I read the book to them. And when I got finished reading the book, Sophie, one of my grandchildren, I asked the question, what is this book about? And she said, Gigi, it's about heaven. I never mentioned the word heaven in my book, but I did mention Grandpa passing. And here's a young little kid at that age. At that time, she was 4 years old, and she picked up on it. And I said, if I can benefit my own great grandkids by this book, I like to benefit other kids to let them know, yes, Grandpa passed, but it's still a beautiful thing because God has got him in his arms. So that was one of the reasons why I wanted to write this book.
That's beautiful. By the way, the audience, for your information, I'm not sitting in a fish tank. The background, that's my, Max says, he's a character in a lot of my books. That's his room. He's my great-grandson. And I'm using the computer in his room. My producer asked me, I wrote a whole script. And I said, I don't need a script. I threw it away. I said, I'm going to be myself. And then I was going to go into the office and use a nice background. And she says, Amos, be natural. Leave it the way it really is. People will appreciate it. Not everything phony, ducked up. So thank you, Deborah, for your advice. Right now, you're working on various projects. Can you tell us about it? How yes. A person like you keeps yourself busy, and you can show the other people how they can follow your lead.
Right. Well, my son, who's in the environmental area for his business, had asked me to get together because they stopped recycling at our condo area. And I said I didn't have the time at that time because I was helping Dad through his illness. When Dad passed, I says, okay, it's time for me to get busy doing something. So I started to get interested in getting recycling here in our condo area. I think it's very important for many, many reasons. So I did a lot of background research, and I got interested in helping our condo area getting recycling. Matter of fact, I'm going to my 3rd meeting on the 31st of this month, and hopefully this time I will get the interest of our people in order to do recycling. So that's just one way. I also have something else on mind, kind of a fun project, not as serious as recycling, making a chart in our laundry room, because sometimes people at our age start to forget, did I put my laundry in it? Did I take my laundry out? And we have laundry machines here that we have to share. So a lot of people say, wow, who put that laundry in? So I did a pattern with the help of my 2 boys, and I'm going to be hopefully getting something put in the laundry room that people will recognize who has their laundry in the washer and the dryer. So that's just one more thing. If I can add to it, Red Hat group of ladies. I formed that club 15 years ago. I was in charge of it for 11 years. And the 11 years that I was in charge of it, one of my priest friends had told me, Kitty, you got to learn to delegate. You can't take everything in your own hands. So I started delegating some of my chores and things I had to do in order to have this Red Hat Club work the way that it did work. And my cardiologist, who's a female, she joined my Red Hat Club. And she was so surprised that I got people out that were in walkers and wheelchairs, and they came out. And because it was not going to be a serious club, it was going to be a fun club, I made up all kinds of games because I'm a kid at heart and I love games. And I love seeing these ladies come out. Most Red Hat clubs stop at 25 people. I just never stopped at 25. I had up to 80 people in my club. One of the best things that I learned was meeting all the people in the restaurant, because that's one of the things we did, go to restaurants. And I got to meet the people that owned the restaurants, the chefs, and the people that served. And it gave me an insight into the restaurant area. So as you form things and enjoy them, it blows up, and you meet a lot of people and have a lot of fun. And I know a lot of the people had looked forward to once a month going out. And we didn't only just eat lunch. We support the area in the veterans, in the children and Head Start programs. So we help people for people, which was a local group of people who helped people that didn't have money. We used to collect money. We collected pennies for the Special Olympics and got them their uniforms. So we did fun things, but we did positive things for the community.
That's
so once
beautiful.
you get involved, once you get involved, it makes you feel you're part of the community. So
I like to
raising
mention
my children was over. What did you say, Amos?
I think it's beautiful. When you mentioned notarizing, the way I met Kitty originally, she asked me to notarize. I was a notary too, because I was a builder developer for almost 40 years. And so that's why I was also a notary. And when we started to talk, I mentioned to her about my books, and I took one with me, and she said, "Oh my God, that's beautiful." I think it was Max and the Red-Headed Dragon. And she loved it. And then she says, "Can I buy one?" "Yes." "Can I buy another one?" "Yes." "Can I buy another one?" Well, here's a woman who has 36 grandchildren, or 33. Well, 30, you can count more. So I figured, no, if I sell all the books, I can retire. I guess I'm exaggerating a little. But that's how we actually met. And but the point when I used the expression LED, I'm not referring to the LED lights. I'm talking to the light what's up here.
Right. Life
Experience diploma. And you can see when people complain about, oh, my age, you know something? I'm 79. And honestly, I feel like I'm 18, 19, trying to kick butts and conquer the world. It's not about money. Money is good to have, don't misunderstand me. It's what's in your heart and what you feel. And when I sit around with people and after I talk to them, they're like, I can go into a room with 50, 100 depressed people. When I come out, everybody's going to say, and they do say, let's go and let's kick some butt. Let's make it happen. And that's what Kitty sounds like. And I hope this will be encouraging for a lot of people.
Amos, when I first met you as a notary, I remember the very day that you came here and we were new to each other. And I remember you saying to me that I could not use my niece as a witness to changing my will from New York to Florida. So I knocked on two neighbors' doors and they came in and they were my witness. And that was like a last minute thing. I remember the remark that you had passed because I had a little bit of a snack spread on the table. We talked, we had fun. And you turned around, you said, I had so much fun here. I don't even know if I want to charge you for this here visit. And it was a great visit meeting you. You were very open to whatever was going on within my household to get this signed.
Kitty, thank you.
That was my first introduction to you.
Thank you very much. And I really enjoyed having the podcast with you. And I'm sure we're going to have some more. But if you want to contact me or if people have questions, you can contact me at Amos, AMOS, at Knoll, KNOLL, publishing.com. You can go into it. You can, any questions you have and any ideas you have, I'm always open-minded. And you can also call us on 561-347-1200. Looking forward to meeting with you again. Thank you.
Thank you.